Bueno, mi gente, it is a day where a new episode has come. Why are you looking at me like that? She's like, where are you going with this? A new episode is here, and we are here for episode 3 of Things That We Wish We Knew. Not the greatest title. Taking my sneakers off so I can get comfy, because I feel like it's going to be a good episode today. And episode 1, we talked about what we wish we knew when we were kids or something like that.
Yeah.
In our teenage years. And then what we wish we knew last week, part 2, was on when we were single, which only got 3 views. 3 people tuned in. And that was a good episode. That was a good episode. So if you know somebody single, or if you're single, or I mean, you don't even gotta be single to listen to it. I don't think. You could still gain something from it. So check that one out if you weren't able to. But here we are again. We're coming in with part 3. And today we're gonna start off with discussing what we wish we knew before we were married.
Wait.
Yes.
Isn't it the same as single?
No. Because the idea is what you wish you knew before.
Wish you knew when you were single, not before. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When you were because you were for the time you're single, yeah. And now it's before we got married, so it's more about marriage.
Okay.
And then if we have time, we'll talk about what we wish we knew before we had kids, which is a good one too. So we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be 4 parts or 3 parts, but either way, we're going to have a good time. So before we jump into that, I want to start off with asking, how are you feeling?
Physically, not the best right now. I'm having a hard time breathing. My voice has been on and off here and there, existing, not existing for like 2 months. So that's rough. Super pregnant. A little tired. I feel like I started off the year strong. But with Lily really sick, that took me back on some of the things that I was trying to do every day, which is fine. I could just pick back up. But yeah, I think I started off the year pretty good.
Good. Yeah, you did. You had some awesome goal setting, some really good journaling that I got to see.
I never really
shared with me.
I never really do resolutions or goals for the year. I don't know. I think I'm just kind of weird that way, where I'm like, if everyone's doing it, I don't want to do it. So if everyone has a YouTube channel, I don't want to do a YouTube channel, but has all these things to say, right?
Okay, let's stop there for a second, because Bravely You.
Why are we
It's
going
2020, because this is literally called the Good, Brave, and Heroic Podcast. Okay. And everybody's like, nobody is.
Maybe 3 people.
But now people are eventually are going to be like, why Brave? Where does Brave come from?
It.
I know, but still, not everybody's going to watch every single episode, right?
Okay.
So her dilemma.
You can have a title.
Let's put her on the spot.
You can have a title.
You see her hands in my screen right here, right? The hands all over the place, right? So her thing is that she doesn't want to start Bravely You, partly because of time, right?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why.
Okay. The big thing that has been stopping her is that she doesn't want to do it on Instagram.
No, that's not the big thing.
She doesn't want to do it on YouTube. She don't want to have a podcast. Where's it going to be? You going to mail out letters to people? What's she going to do? What you going to do? She going to mail episodes to people.
Book a cafecito date with me, and then we talk. There we go.
There's people out there who need to hear what you have to say.
Book a cafecito date.
No. Somebody from Chattanooga is not going to book no cafecito date with you.
I can't speak what they speak.
Chattanooga?
Where's Chattanooga? Is that Tennessee?
Yes. I don't know if I said it right, but because who talks about Chattanooga, but.
Sorry, if you're from Chattanooga, you
Alexa, how do you say Chattanooga?
Okay, but which language do you want me to translate to?
English. Oh, okay, never mind.
Even she's like,
She
what
was
is
like,
that?
but I'm out.
What is that?
So, yeah, I think 2024 is the year.
We're about to be on the next newborn child.
And you just got to go real simple with it.
Okay.
You have a whole
Again, there are other
you have
reasons.
a whole editor that can edit for you.
Who?
Hello, hi. I be out here editing my Valley of the Road channel, my social media clips, our podcast. You think I can throw in 3 reels a week, maybe 2 reels a week?
You already have a lot going on, and you got about to have 3 kids.
Yo, homies, drop something in the comments so that Joanna could stop, or maybe we gotta mail out videos to people. Maybe that's what we gotta do.
How do you mail out videos?
Send them on
a CD?
Burn them on CD-ROMs and send them to people. All right, let's jump into the episode before everybody's like, what is going on? So, all right. So, what do you wish you knew before you got married? You know what's a great way to start that conversation? I know what I wish I didn't know.
What? Okay, yeah, start. Because what?
You know what's one of the most common things people told me when they found out that I was getting married?
What'd they tell you? What'd you say?
You used to hear the same thing.
What?
People are so negative. People are just like, oh, you're getting married. Good luck. That's like the bare minimum you'll get. And then you'll have people bold enough to be like, oh, I remember a couple people being like, oh, you guys just aren't tired of each other yet. And you'll get past that lovey stage. Yeah. Oh, wow. You're getting married. So nice. Wait until you have kids.
Wait until this, wait until that.
Yeah. People just say some crazy stuff. And everybody's just like, I think that ingrained in our culture, or maybe in older generations, I don't really know, but there's like this stigma of getting married is not a big deal. And
it's the old ball and chain is how los gringos say it. The old ball and chain.
Old ball and chain. No, it's not. And I used to look at the.
Well, you can lift the old ball and chain if you were in the gym. Anyway.
I don't know. That was very confrontational.
You know which one really got me? The one, and a lot of people that we love said this, but some people said it jokingly. Like, everyone had different intentions. It was the way that it was said. Happy wife, happy life. And but it was like, when it was said with the whole like, just do what she wants and forget you and just keep her happy, like she's like dumb. What?
Yeah.
What you mean? I'm not gonna be happy like that.
I'm not gonna be happy like that.
It's gonna make me mad.
Yeah, no, that's that's a lot to unravel. That's too much to unravel right now. Yeah, we ain't gonna go there, but I feel you. I feel you on that one. I mean, I just think that people are just like, they project their failures in marriage. A failure in marriage is a failure as a person. One of those people failed. Probably both. That's what it is.
Said I'm confrontational?
No, I'm just saying, it's like, I'm not trying to not give grace, because there are extenuating circumstances, right? It doesn't mean that every person who has a failed marriage failed as a person, because sometimes it's the other person. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they end up being a crazy cheater and you never knew, right? Or they're violent. You didn't fail. They failed. They are a failure. But there was a person who failed there. That person, if it's a male, right, he failed to learn how to be a man. And he failed to learn to not put his hands on somebody. And he never grew past 6 years old and learned how to control his emotions. And maybe he had reasons for that. But now you're a grown man, and the reasons that you had are no longer there, and the only reason that you have is you. So if you choose to continue, you are the reason. And if your marriage fails, you are the reason.
What's the reason? Sorry.
I'm over here so serious. And she's like, what was the reason? No, and so that person failed. Now, sometimes what happens more frequently, right, in failed marriages is that two people for an extended period of time do not put in the work to have a good marriage. And then eventually someone reaches a breaking point and they call it quits.
Well, they're out loud or internally.
Out loud or internally, right? Sometimes one person does it internally, which results in the other person doing it out loud, or the same person eventually does it out loud after having done it internally. My point is that if you are in a marriage and you're coasting, you can coast as an individual and get away with it. If you want to have the same job for the rest of your life, all power to you. If you are happy with that, as long as you're not coming home complaining, taking it out on your kids, taking it out on family, acting a fool because you're actually upset at yourself, so you have to take it out on the people who don't have power over your decisions. But as long as you're okay with it, and like I have heard of people who they are happy with a peaceful and quiet life, and there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Well, there's a difference between coasting and stability.
Right. So you can coast as an individual because it's your choice. In a marriage, you cannot coast.
No, you're affecting other people.
You can't. You can't. You're not responsible for the other person's happiness, but the other person has expectations of you. Mm-hmm. They expect you to be a person who's growing. Mm-hmm. They expect you to love them. They expect you to study them, mm-hmm. to spend time with them, to take interest in their interests. I'm getting real preachy, so I'm gonna stop.
It was fine. It was good.
I don't know who I'm mad at right now. I'm mad at somebody.
You are mad.
I'm mad at people giving up. Oh,
how about?
I'm not even mad at them. I just wish they could see that sometimes there's things in life that are worth fighting for. There's things in life that are worth fighting for, but you gotta fight. It's hard, but you gotta fight.
What's hard to see is people that are in a relationship who are going, like they know they want to marry this person. It's the people that give up while in that relationship with the same goal, marriage. Whether it's that they've given up in the relationship and it's kind of like, well, we've already been together for so long, it just makes sense for us to get married at this point. Or it's that they gave up on themselves and you're going into this marriage with not much to offer because you've given up on yourself. That's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to be in and it's hard to watch.
Right. It's hard. Listen, and I just want to balance this off a little bit for the people who are still here. I get it. It's hard. It's not easy.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like,
growing is not an easy thing at all. It's
and
really,
marriage.
Marriage isn't easy. Relationships aren't easy. Life isn't easy.
You're going to have low seasons. You're going to have times where it's really hard to connect. You know, your kids are small. We get it. We had 2 under 2, which is like that's the big like, oh snap.
About to have 3 under 3?
Right, 3 under 3. No, Kaya will still be 3. Okay, yeah. So we'll have 3 under 3. This is the way we chose it, and God chose it. They're gonna take you serious.
I'm just kidding.
You see what you did. I'm the only one that did it, apparently. Excuse me. And you know, it makes it hard to go out on date nights. We've talked before about it, but like our current living situation, as many other millennials, is really tough right now with the housing market, and what's that fancy word, inflation. All of these things, right? And then also the fact that we started businesses and you've had career changes. There's a lot that we've had a lot. And so we get it. We get that it's hard at times, which makes it more so that you have to be even more intentional. Sometimes you need to let go of some things. You need to communicate more.
You gotta make it work.
You gotta make it work. Get through it, right? Get through that season together as a team.
Yeah. You have to get creative.
Get creative. And find small, I want to add this, and find small, meaningful ways to connect. So let's jump into the conversation because we've been
jumped into the conversation.
Right, I know, but I want to be in touch. Like, yeah, I feel bad. I don't know why I feel bad. If you're listening, you're listening. Do you want to start? Do you have something?
No, I was fully in here.
In here, right? So what I wish that I knew before marriage. Yeah, I was way too invested in the conversation.
I mean, you did say you wish something you wish you didn't know.
Yeah.
That's how you started.
Right, but now, so some of the things that come up for me is like, which might help me, like talking about my thoughts out loud will help me to process it. For me, for those of you who don't know already, in our first year of marriage, I was clinically depressed, right? So I had a severe, what was the diagnosis? I always forget, severe single episode. And he threw the word moderate in there too. So I don't know what was moderate. Maybe I was moderate.
He was clinically depressed, but it wasn't like,
it was a single episode.
It's not chronic.
Right.
It was just during that time, during that season. And it wasn't like
but it was
911, but it was like
serious.
It was serious. It was very.
The diagnosis was that.
Yeah, I can't remember the whole
name. It was serious depression. It wasn't joking depression.
No.
Not many. You have to have a certain sense of humor to laugh at that. Anyways, so our first year of marriage, I was depressed. So I wonder. So my mind is going there, but I feel like that's a little too individualistic. That's too focused on me.
Okay.
I feel like I want to arrive at a place, because I know I have stuff that I wish I knew before we got married that's more about the marriage. And I just don't know where my thoughts are going because because the depression was so we almost got a divorce. We never said the D word. Pause. But we already got a pause on that. But anyways, we never said it, but it was like,
we used the synonyms.
It was there. It was like, hey,
Let's
like
use different phrasing.
The devil was like, he was trying hard. So I mean, I actually remember this was tough. I remember our pastors praying for us one time after we had a bad argument. And I remember Pastor Sharon saying that she just wishes it wasn't so hard for us.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was like, I don't think I'll ever forget that. I think about that pretty frequently. I don't know why. But when I think about that time. And that was so hard for you to hear, you walked away.
I did?
Yeah.
I do not remember this.
In the middle of the prayer, she walked away.
No way.
Yes.
Dang, it was that serious.
I mean, we were going through it.
I mean, I know. I remember.
We haven't talked about it. Yeah.
But I don't remember that specific.
It was really hard to hear the prayer because her prayer was very sincere.
As it always is.
Right. It was very, very sincere, and it was very, but it was hard for me to hear, so it was hard for you to hear, so you just couldn't take it. You walked away, which I understood. I wasn't upset at you, nor am I now. But, so it's hard for me to not answer that question without thinking about the depression, but here, now my brain is starting to develop something. So I wish that one thing that I wish I would have known is I just wish that I would have had better tools, right? that's a little bit general, but I think that especially when I think about like our culture, being a Latino minority, growing up the way that I did, most of the marriages that I witnessed growing up, they failed. My parents got a divorce. In our culture, it's very common for, not in our culture, but just like in Latino circles, I guess, it's like mujeriegos and cheaters, depending on where you're from. And I was like 13 years old and people would say, oh, you're Puerto Rican. Oh, you're going to be a cheater. Like I was already labeled all of these things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, los hombres de blah, blah, blah son candela.
I mean, yeah, like as a Puerto Rican male. And like, I actually can't say that I wasn't the upstanding citizen of Puerto Ricanness, right? I lived out some of the bad stereotypes, but maybe part of that was because that's all I was being told, right? Or maybe that's a piece of it, right?
It's complex because
it's so complex.
Within the Latino culture, you're also like, for men, there's like this pride in how many women can you get.
Oh, that's everywhere too. It's like, how many women can you get? How many women have you slept with? Obviously not in Christian circles, hopefully. I don't know about your church, bro. But anyways.
Like, you know what song comes to my mind? Bad Bunny, Titi me preguntó, si tienes muchas novias.
Yeah.
Like, ¿tienes muchas novias?
And that's common.
But you're not going to ask that to a girl, like,
No.
¿tienes muchos novios?
No, never.
You say you even like a boy and everyone's looking at you like,
yeah, but who do you think these boys are dating? Like, hello, your daughters. So it's like, what? It's so weird that we perpetuate these double standards. And it's almost as if, like, I think growing up, there at a subconscious level, there was like this expectation, maybe not expectations, maybe not the best word, but there's this like underlying thought that my first marriage at least is gonna fail. And so, and then on top of that, you layer that with the fact that you grow up without tools. My mom did her best.
with the tools she had or didn't have.
Right. And it was just me and her, and she had to work. So she wasn't home. She wasn't home, point blank, right? From a lot of my childhood. And then when she was, she only gave me what she had, right? My mom grew up in her own situation where my grandparents, her parents were married until my grandmother passed away. And so they made it. But my grandfather
he had his flaws.
He had his flaws. My grandmother just stayed.
Yeah.
And I love him. I didn't know him during the years of those flaws. I knew him in his older age when it was just him and her, right? And so, but my mom witnessed it.
Yeah.
My mom fought with my grandfather and yelled at him and argued with him. That was her experience of what the man of the house was and what marriage looks like. And then she met my father and they got married and they went through their experience. Then my mom also had her own other trauma with the fact that she was adopted, and she was adopted at a very older age. She was 3, I think, and only knew how to say one word and didn't even say it correctly. My mom did her freaking best, right? So here I am coming in. Then we go to church. We got one session of marriage counseling. That's all we got because of, I think, time. It was a really rough season for our pastor at the time. I know that now. Not back then, I didn't know it, but I know that now. Plus, again, it was a Latino church. There weren't systems in place.
And the expectation, even then, was still like, once you get married, that's the end goal. So it's okay, because once you get married, everything's great. Like, you'll have sex all the time and you'll be happy. And
right, because that's
a
all
house
that
magically comes,
that's
and
all
you
that
have all the
matters.
finances, and you'll have a car, maybe a dog, and you're good, you're set.
And then what perpetuates that lie is the fact that nobody talks about their issues in their marriage, especially in Latino churches.
Yeah.
Everybody's fine, everybody's okay, especially if you're a pastor. You better not come with no problems. And so we got married, and all I had was me. That's all I brought you. I didn't, obviously that's not completely true. I had people teach me stuff, but you get what I'm saying? For the most part, all I brought was my thoughts, my reasoning, my communication skills. And so one of the things that I wish I knew was better tools. Like I wish I had better tools, that I knew things. And because I wasn't able to get that from others, I wish maybe I would have read more books about it or listened to podcasts and been a little bit more intentional to help build that up. And then now as a man, because I wish I knew that, my goal is, right, because this is the big thing they say, your sons become, for the father, right? Your son becomes you, your son will become you and your daughter will marry you. Not exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Someone like you.
But she's gonna marry somebody like you. That scares me.
It's a lot of pressure.
That scares me.
It's a lot of pressure.
When Kaya and Lily get older, I better have some stuff figured out, right? I better have it figured out because I want them to look to me as an example, because I want to be that resource that I didn't have. Then if I can go beyond that, what can I do within my culture, within the church, to help people like us to have better tools? But if I could go back to 26-year-old Eric, who's engaged, and say to him, yo, go study, go watch videos, go read books, go in with a wealth of knowledge, bring Joanna into that. If I go to 24, when did we start?
2012.
Yeah, but how old were you? You were 23, I was 24. So, okay, I thought it was 23, but I was like, dang, that's kind of young.
We were pretty young.
It was 23? We were dating for 3 years.
No.
So I think it was 24.
4 years.
4 years? So 23. 23? I go back to 23-year-old me, I talk to him and I tell him, start now. Because you're going to marry this girl. I knew immediately because I was like, nah, once you open this door, it's open forever. Because we were friends already. So.
What I wish I knew.
Go ahead, tell me something good, sweet thing. How you doing?
I had it when you were talking.
It's coming, don't worry.
I was like, what are you doing?
Talking into your camera.
I wish that I think I'm gonna have to develop too and process out loud, but
that helped me. So
I always knew that I always understood that everyone is their own world and came with their own stuff, their own culture, even when you are from the same ethnic culture. So I expected there to be differences. I think even though I knew that, I don't think I fully knew that to the point where it's kind of like you are introducing your own culture to your partner, to your spouse, and you're also undoing some of those things because they're no longer serving you in this new culture that you're creating together, good. And you're also building. It's a lot.
That's a lot of work.
It's a lot to do. Like, I remember when we got married, the wedding was great, everything was great. I remember arriving to the venue. Shout out to Kasi for taking me there, getting me there on time. And taking my phone. Thank you. I get there from my house, my parents' house, where everyone else is still getting ready. And then at the end of this glamorous, beautiful event, everyone goes outside to get their cars at the valet. And it was weird not to go home with my own family. You were my family. And I waited for your car to come. And we both hopped in, and I looked at my family like, what's happening?
Yeah.
I was happy, but I was also, it was so many mixed emotions in that moment.
It is.
In such a like simple moment, it was extremely significant. And we both get in the car, and I'm like,
this is real.
We're driving to our apartment. You're not dropping me off. Whew. Everything is so sudden. It just...
You said it in the car too. You remember that?
No.
You said, you don't got to drop me off anymore.
Well, probably when I said it, I was like, you don't got to drop me off anymore.
You said it.
But internally, like before that, I was like, oh. I think I was having a conversation yesterday with a friend. We were talking about relationships, and we were talking through some like relationship issues, what couples go through, and the kinds of resources you can look to when you're a couple who has the goal of getting married. And we talked about couples therapy. And I remember that feeling like kind of weird, because I'm like, well, you're not married to be committed to something like that. You only do that when you're married. And then I'm like, wait a minute. That's part of the issue, because when you get premarital, you're engaged. If you reach the point of engagement and then you suddenly break off during that premarital counseling, it's like, what happened? Like everyone's like, oh, but kind of like
it's
it's
not
sad.
It's not the worst thing, though.
It's not.
It's better than getting married and finding out that you're miserable with this person.
Right. But I'm also thinking, well, what can you do to work on it before you get there?
That's a really good question.
There's nothing that really exists.
No.
And so I was like, you know what? Yeah, couples therapy, that could work, because you can see where this is going to go, like how this is going, like you can grow from this. So I was thinking of like things that like tools and resources as you described, and I came to the realization that there aren't really any besides you acknowledging your own need for growth and stuff. And I came to realize, I was like, okay, wow. I wish that I knew how important it is to be intentional and what that meant in a relationship. And I wish that it was explained more how choosing to love someone and choosing to be with them every day, what that meant to like the core, while also holding the other person accountable, and it being okay for you to point out, I'm just gonna call them red flags, point out red flags or point out the other person's flaws while still dating, and not waiting till like things blow up or you're married already and you're like, well, I guess this is normal.
Right.
Like I wish I wish we knew how okay it was to be like, let's talk about that. What just happened there? Because I think that there's so much going on when you're dating that once you've dated for so long and then you enter into the marriage, that the things that are red flags become kind of normal in a marriage.
Normal in what way?
Normal, like you're used to them.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of like accept them because you're like, yeah, they always do this.
Yeah.
But you're never really comfortable with them, but you also never really talked about them. And then you get to a breaking point and you're like, I can't stand you right now.
Yeah.
You're doing X, Y, Z, and then it's like a surprise to the other person or whatever. So I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that it's okay to have hard conversations and how to have them with intentionality, and how to be intentional about relationship with someone else, what it means to relate to someone at such an intimate level, and the beauty in that growth together, and not because it's not always going to stay hard. Sometimes it starts off with a difficult conversation and it becomes a beautiful moment of growth together. And I wish that I knew more of that so that I could expect that or grow in that.
Mm-hmm. That's tough. And I think there's a lot of people entering who don't have it, and it's really unfortunate. What do you think would be a way that you could have learned that specifically?
I was thinking about it. I think we hit a point, for instance, where we were no longer a part of the youth group because we were getting older. So for a while,
that happens.
For a while, we were like in limbo. Mm-hmm. And those crucial years of singlehood where you don't really have anywhere to like go to call to a group to like talk things through. There was nothing like that for us to just do life together. Yeah. To see like, oh, we're all kind of going through the same thing. Oh, that's how you handle it. Oh, this is how I handle it. I think having a space like that might be a start. Mm-hmm. And like some churches started like young adults ministries.
Right.
And so we were like, oh, that sounds cool. And we tried some out, but when we got married, church was a lot. It was a lot for us. So
yeah, we didn't go to church for the first year and a half.
You didn't go to church for the first year and a half.
I didn't go to church for,
I did.
I did. I did not go to church for the first year and a half because of depression, in case you didn't connect that.
Yeah, it was really hard. So.
And I just want to add something, and there's nothing wrong with that for somebody who's listening who might, because my reason was that I literally would walk into a church and it was triggering my depression very deeply. I could not be in a church. I loved God, never left the faith, and I knew I was coming back to church eventually. But that season, church was so triggering for me. And some people might be like, "Oh, you just needed a man up." No, you need therapy. Okay, the man up people, please stop. I took some time off intentionally, knowing that I was coming back because I needed it. I needed to heal. I needed some time away because it was the church itself was a big part of my depression, and I knew that.
What was beautiful about that, though, is even though we didn't have like a designated group to go to lean on like that, God brought church to us. He brought people of faith. Yeah. Like, he answered our prayers for godly people, and they did life with us. And they knew like things were rocky, you weren't okay, like this, and they came to us, and they were God, like they were there, like they were just there, and that helped for us to do life and understand, like, oh, maybe I'm a little off right now, or maybe this is too much, because you have this mirror of people who represent Christ, who are able to keep you accountable.
Right.
And I think that's what's missing, is something like that, maybe.
Because you asked a really good question. You're like, well, there's nothing like therapy during that time. I actually heard a couple recently saying that they're going to therapy and they're not married. As I was wondering how that works. Just like on a logistic side, like for the therapist, like maybe they're a marriage therapist. I didn't know they could take non-married. Well, I mean, they probably do, because married couples who live together.
Well, there are a lot of couples who live together.
Yeah, so it's probably not that hard. I'm probably just thinking too Christian. So, but yeah, I'm just like, I wondered, and you know, maybe some people out there before they get married should consider going to therapy. Why not? You could gain so much we gained a lot from marriage therapy. And we went to it when we were
doing
better.
really well.
We're doing really well. And it was like, I preach for emotionally focused therapy. EFT is fire. It's not for everybody because you go in deep. Mm-hmm. But emotionally focused, our therapist was an emotionally focused therapist, which focuses more on like finding root causes and behaviors and patterns inside of your thoughts or inside of your relationship. Life-changing for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it might be a good idea
to do couples therapy.
Yeah, before you're married. You might find that maybe this person isn't for you, or the hope is that it'll bolster your relationship, right? Yeah. Like set you up for success, right? Because part of what people don't understand is that, like, they understand it, but they don't actually get it, is that it's hard. You have to work. And so a lot of people start seeing the work and then they're like, whoa. But what they don't say, oh, this is a lot of work. Like the teens say nowadays, oh, that's a lot of work. They don't say that. What they do is they look at the other person and they point at the other person and they're like, nah, I'm not with this. And granted, there might be things and situations and personality traits or behaviors that person has that it's a strict boundary for you. Like if that person, you start to see that they have they're very violent, for example, it's an easy example, right? Then maybe you're like, nah, that's a too much work situation.
Yeah.
That person does not need to be getting married. They have to do work on their own. But I don't know. I just see a lot of people complaining about stuff that if both people are willing, you could work through it.
Yeah.
Key word, if both people are willing, right? And maybe that therapy or the counseling will teach you about the areas that you need to work on.
Yeah, it'll teach you about yourself.
And it will definitely, marriage is a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
It will teach you about yourself.
I remember the biggest lesson I started to learn when we first got married, and such a trying couple years, was how selfless you need to be in marriage, and how that's okay, and how that's important.
Yeah.
And it's not one person being selfless, it's both being selfless.
Yeah.
It's both. Now, granted, there's going to be times where one person's going to have to pick up the slack of the other person because
I like what Brene Brown says about that.
What did she say?
I want to make sure I remember correctly. She talks about how marriage is not 50-50.
Oh, yeah.
It's not 50-50 because sometimes you don't have 50 to give.
Yeah.
That was very enlightening because everybody talks about how they say one of two things. Marriage is 50-50 or it's 100-100. Some people say marriage is not 50-50, it's 100-100. That's not realistic either because in our first year of marriage, I didn't have 100 to give.
Well, I've always subscribed to the 100-100 because I understand, or I come with the expectation that my 100 today is not the same. This is my 100 today. And my 100 yesterday is different.
Right? You're giving your best based on the day.
Yeah.
It's just a different way of looking at it because the way I look at it is we just have to reach the highest number we can together. And it might not be 100. Mm-hmm. So what she was saying was with her husband, she'll just straight up tell him like, I only got 20. Mm-hmm. And I'll be like, okay, I got you for 80. Like he comes and he brings in the other part and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of people go into marriage with all of these expectations on the other person with none on themselves.
Or no expectations. Some people come in with no expectations. Elaborate on
that.
That's scary.
What, did I ask you to elaborate?
No, that you don't have expectations. I don't think you remember this. But I remember we were on our honeymoon and we were just having a conversation by the pool. It was nighttime and I don't even know why I asked you this, but I asked you about your expectations and I started giving like scenarios and you were like, I don't have any. Whatever you want to do. I was like, what you mean? You don't have like a picture in your head of like how it would go? You're like, no.
I mean, but that's kind of how I am though.
Yeah, he's very like go with the flow. And I'm like, what do you mean? We got to plan this out.
Right.
What if we don't agree? We should talk about it now.
And it's not that I don't have expectations. It's just that I think I'm, for the most part, a little low maintenance.
You are. Yeah, you are low maintenance. But I think for me that was shocking because...
What did you expect me to say? I expect food to be cooked every day by this time.
Heck no. Heck no. I don't even remember the questions I asked you, but I think that was my way of trying to get to know you as a husband and understand how our family dynamic would roll out and how it would work. I was trying to understand like the standard, I guess. I don't know. So for me, I felt like I had no structure or guidance or blueprint. So I was like, well, how's this gonna work? Like, how are we gonna do this? So, yeah.
How do you do well for your performance review as a wife?
But then that's one example of no expectations. Then there's the other side of no expectations. Like some people might not have expectations because they don't even have expectations for themselves. They don't have like this, maybe they might not really have goals, and that goes kind of maybe back to coasting. Like maybe you're good with coasting and I don't know, it's a little dangerous, I think, when you don't really have expectations of yourself because you're not a perfect being. So you can't survive that way.
Yeah.
So when you don't have any expectations for anything at all, that's scary.
Yeah.
Because then how do you lead your family? How do you, as a team, create culture for your family, create that dynamic? How do you do that?
I think part of it is just thinking through it too, just for the sake of people listening, because they might find themselves feeling like, oh, I feel like I'm like that. Is that a bad thing? I think a part of it, besides the fact that I'm low maintenance, is also that sometimes you ask me questions and I don't know how to answer them. I don't feel like I have language to answer them. So what I say is, I don't know, or I say, or I'll say, I'll just repeat what I already said, and then you get upset. But I really don't know. It might be something I never thought of before, or I don't process it as deeply as you do, or I never thought about it in that way, and so I need time. And so maybe somebody listening might have something similar where maybe you never thought of some of these things and you do have expectations. You just don't know how to answer the question. Maybe you don't know how to place expectations on another person because anytime you did growing up, people failed those expectations. And so the way you protect yourself now is not having expectations on anyone. Hi. I understand. So that lends itself towards the whole thing in marriage of sometimes even the things that upset you, there's a reason for them. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
We broke glass in our
I knew it. I was like, he's about to come for me.
And I'm not going to come for you at all. We broke glass. I broke glass in our office. And and this was the other day, literally, and we were cleaning it up together. And towards the very, very end, we saw that there were some more pieces. So we went and we tried to figure out to get it. We were going through like this whole process of trying to get all the pieces. And then towards the end, when we got like I thought, we're definitely done now. in the corner of the rug, inside, there was like a piece in there. Excuse me. There's like a piece in there that you saw. And my knee-jerk reaction was like,
Just leave it.
just leave it. Like, it's stuck in between the wall and the rug. And you went in there, you're like digging for it and trying to you're doing everything to get it out. And I started to get annoyed. So what did I tell myself?
He didn't tell me this.
No, I didn't tell you this. She's hearing this live. What did I tell myself? I told myself to chill out.
Chill out.
Don't drop that thing to her. No, I told myself to chill out. I said, there's a reason why she thinks this way.
Do you know what was going through my head?
Yeah, and I knew that it was very hard. I knew that it meant a lot to you and was very hard for you.
It wasn't hard for me.
It would have been, you telling me it wouldn't have been impossible for you to have left it there if I would have suggested that?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was hard for you. You just didn't feel the pressure of it being hard.
Do you know
because
why?
nobody applied pressure.
Do you know why?
Yes, I know why.
Why?
We don't have to talk about that. So
Wait. I think you're going too deep. It's not that deep.
what?
I thought I want to get it out of there because if it somehow finds its way out of there on its own somehow through movement, whatever, or it doesn't, and our girls come in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That to me is a secondary reason.
No, that was one of my main reasons because this is our office and
because it
if
was
the
top
girls
of mind.
for me, that's what I was
For me,
thinking.
the main reason is subconscious. No, that's
Okay.
not secondary. That's primary. Then the
Okay.
top of mind one is secondary.
Okay.
So I told myself I needed to exercise patience because I know for sure I'm not right because leave it there is not the right mentality. But I'm just like, I have my reasons why I felt that way, right? And I told myself, I don't lose anything by being patient with her right now and helping her. What I will gain if I don't is an argument. Mm-hmm. Even if it's not an argument, you would have gotten upset. Mm-hmm. Did I want that? No. So all I had to do was tell myself to shut up.
At the very least, I would have been
Husbands, write it down. Write it down right now. Or prospective husbands, write it down right now. Sometimes you got to tell yourself to stop. And that's what I did in that moment. I helped you. I actually was trying to be very intentional about helping you. So we figured it out and it got done.
I got it out.
So, and then we moved on and you didn't know anything.
No.
And so, yeah, I think that's a good place for us to
What?
end the episode.
Why is that? That's not a
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm weird. You didn't realize that by now? So next week, stay tuned for
Episode 4. Episode 4 of Things We Wish We Knew.
where we will talk about what we wish we knew before we became parents. Thank you guys so much for being here for today's episode. We hope that you guys enjoyed it and we hope that you guys have an amazing week. We will see you guys next week. Take it easy. Peace.
Bye.